Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us back here at Tego Cyber's channel. We're sitting here with special guest, director and president Troy Wilkinson. Troy, how are you doing today?
Doing well, Michael. Thanks for having me on today. It's good to be here and talk to folks out there today and really get this message out.
Good, good. We're very glad to have you on. We've talked to Shannon a lot, got to understand her past and her motivations, but now we want to dive into you a little bit. So, first and foremost, tell me what got you interested in this field and tell me about some of your previous experience.
Absolutely. And I think that the journey in cybersecurity is really a great topic because unlike an engineer who has a very determined path of how to become an engineer, cybersecurity is a little different. And those who are in the field tend to have a different path to get here and tend to come from different technologies or even diverse subset of skills. And so for me, I started in law enforcement over 20 years ago doing IT forensic investigations. I've always been, drawn to computers and high tech items from a young age. And so it was a very easy fit when I was a police officer to help those online fraud, forgery investigations, as well as some, child sex predator type investigations and so on. And so I really enjoyed that work, was able to create some lasting impacts. And that work was noticed by the State Department. I got recruited to go over and train police officers in Kosovo on how to do IT forensic investigations and spent a good number of years in country there, which is actually where I met Shannon when she was working for the United Nations. And so from there, when we started our family, decided to move home here to the U.S., lived in Las Vegas and saw an immediate need for small to medium businesses that really didn't have that cybersecurity team on staff, couldn't afford to put protections in place. And we founded our first company to help address that need. And unfortunately, that market segment is really difficult to penetrate because they don't see the need as much as we do from the outside. They also don't have the financing or the resources to pay for that sometimes. And so getting to those customers who actually need that service was difficult. And also, we were hardware based. So we had our own proprietary IDS or intrusion detection system that we used and kept up to date for them. And unfortunately, hardware is very difficult. And even now with coronavirus, you'll see supply chain issues and you'll see a lot of the difficulties in maintaining hardware inventories. And so once we sold Axiom to private equity, we decided we wanted to address this gap in the market that we really saw that was glaring to us. And that is the application of threat intelligence and really how to apply big data analytics to solve a complex problem. And that is knowing what the bad guys are doing outside my company, but also seeing what they're doing inside my company if I have any of those points of interest that come out of that threat feed. The best thing about Tego, and one of the things that we really founded it to be, was cloud native. It had to be, cloud native from day one and not hardware based, meaning that we didn't have to ship appliances across the country or have our customers install something and take their resources, time, effort, and potentially disruption of business. And so that was one of our core beliefs, to be cloud native and be a software as a service company that could deliver this. And, the main thing about Tego is really what are those insights that you can gain from the data that's readily available out there. Tego correlates hundreds of sources of threat intelligence from closed and open and proprietary sources of threat intel. But most importantly is that we take all those, we deduplicate them and put them into a machine learning type algorithm that can help us determine what's happening across the globe. But then we apply ourselves to your SIM or your data lake that you're already collecting so that you can gain tremendous insights into that data that you already have available to you within your company. So our customers are already collecting machine data from servers and firewalls and network devices from their employees' endpoints and things like that. And so we're able to apply our threat intelligence using our algorithms to the data that you're already collecting, not only to see if you have exposure to a new threat as it comes out, but have you had exposure to it, doing that recursive lookup to see, maybe this Russian botnet is bad and known today, but we saw it in our environment 2 weeks ago. That would be kind of important to know. And so our customers and beta customers, they really like the fact that we're able to shine a light, not only going forward, but also what they've seen in their environment.
Wow. All right, Troy, that's a heck of a story, man. About to say you started all the way back, and it's interesting. Back in those older days, was it really like the Wild West online where people were just completely cybersecurity like illiterate?
Yeah, and I think to some extent, some folks still are. There's a segment of our
Mm.
population that, are resistant to technology. My dad is a great example. He just doesn't want or care to learn about the things that we have to really be cautious of today. If you think about all of the scam emails that we get asking us for our banking details or our credentials and so on, you know, um, society in general should be cognizant of the threats that are out there. And that's kind of important. But fortunately for us at Tego, our customers already know the threats and they have a team of folks that are working on that. So we augment and plug in. And one of the best things that I really love about Tego is that we're technology agnostic. In other words, we don't care if you have Palo Alto firewalls or Checkpoint or anything else. Those type of machines give off data, and that data can be used by Tego to gain insights into threat actors in your environment, no matter what it is. You don't have to have a particular antivirus or endpoint detection response or firewall vendor in place. We can work with any of them.
Yeah, it's interesting. Judging from based on what you said your old company was, Tego really seems like a much more evolved form than your previous one. And I'm curious now where you're sitting. Tell me about what your role looks like. What do you actually handle on the day to day for Tego Cyber?
Sure. And so, for those who don't know, I'm actually the global head of operations for cybersecurity for a Fortune 300 company. So I'm not involved in the day-to-day operations at Tego. However, I do help Shannon drive that vision of what is needed in the market. And my position, my day job, as I like to call it, my passion, allows me to stay plugged in with my peers and hear what those needs are and what their pain points are. Because Tego is always trying to be what our customers need instead of putting out a product that we think they need. That is so important to differentiate that, because a lot of companies put something out, they believe it's the best thing on the planet, but they don't actually listen to that customer feedback about the gap that we're trying to fill.
Yeah.
And so Tego has from day one, even in its infancy and through the R&D process, has had advisors who are either CISOs themselves or security engineers or people who have feet on the ground who are fighting this fight every day, who
Mm.
understand what's important to see, what's not important to see, what's relevant, what's timely, where would it be the best to visualize it, and so on, so that we can provide a better insight for those who are actually using the tool.
Wow. All right, Troy. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your side of the story with everything. One last question. What would you say you're most excited about, say, over the next course of the next year for Tego Cyber?
It's exciting for me to watch the industry grow as well, right? So Tego is growing. I love that. I love the development processes that we have in place and some of the things that are coming up and coming out. I'm excited about the things we're able to solve for our customers. Solving those pain points, but also solving a real problem, which is cyber threat actors. But the most thing I'm excited about is really how do we encourage that next generation into cybersecurity? How do we get
Mm.
folks more involved in our industry? We're working with our local college here, UNLV, as well as the College of Southern Nevada, our partners like Ionovate, and so on, to help foster the next generation of cyber warriors, as I call it, and really do more than just impact for our clients, but do an impact for the industry as well.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point. It is there definitely is a whole generation that needs trained up on this and to pass the torch and take it another step further than where we are today. But Troy, again, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you everyone for watching. If anyone has any questions for Troy or Shannon or anyone else on the team, let us know and we'll happily dive into it. But for now, Troy, do you have any closing words for people before we go?
No, just want to thank you for your time, and really excited to see what comes out in the next year for Tego Cyber and for the cybersecurity industry in general. Thank you.
Wonderful, Troy. Well, thank you for your time and have a wonderful day.